Okay, so in today's video, I'm gonna just show you all how to clean your barber supplies, your barber tools. So let's start off with, this is all pretty simple, but for those of you who don't know, or no one ever taught you, this might be an informative video. So any machine, clippers, trimmers, shavers, you can't use alcohol on it and you can't use soap and water. So what do you need? You're gonna need a disinfectant. So this is Cool Care. This is the brand that I like to use. It's by Andis. It's a 5-in-1. So what this does is coolant, disinfectant, lubricant, cleaner, and rust preventative. So by spraying this on your blades, it'll actually make your blades last longer. So I would definitely invest in some of this. And also it's good for sanitation purposes. So on the back, it's gonna tell you the precautions of, like, what to do if you get it in your eyes, what to do if you inhale it. Watch out with this stuff. You don't want to be inhaling it and it touching your skin so much because it does cause cancer from what I've heard. So try to stay away from it contacting your eyes, your skin. So if you want, wear gloves and definitely don't be inhaling this stuff. I did it by accident one time and my throat was hurting for a while. So that's the thing about the disinfectant. Now, what I'm looking for here is contact time. So most of them are similar, but for all purposes, let's just read this part where it says contact time. So the contact time basically means how much time does this have to be, the liquid, in contact for it to actually disinfect. So this one is 10 minutes. So it says spray to 6 to 8 inches away. So 6 to 8 inches away, we're gonna spray it and leave it wet for 10 minutes. That it means it's gonna fully disinfect it. If you don't leave it that long, like just a minute, or you spray it on right before surfacing your client, one, that stuff will probably touch their skin. And if you spray it on and wipe it and then start cutting your client, it doesn't give it enough time to disinfect. So number one is remove all the hair. So first, off all your stuff, remove all the hair, whether that's with a brush, whether it's with an air compressor. First, remove all the hair. That is just to get rid of the hair. But then to disinfect it, remember, one of these. You spray it, make sure it's all wet, let it charge, whatever, for 10 minutes. Now, for your combs, your razors, your brushes, this stuff we can use soap and water. So you can either remove the hair with an air hose, whatever, or just go over to the sink, use soap and water. That's gonna disinfect some of it. And then you're gonna want this fully submerged in your Barbicide jar. So most of you have probably seen this or have this on your station. You should. Is a Barbicide jar. So you're always gonna wanna have the right mixture, and which I made a video on how to mix it. And you're also gonna want it to be up to the top so that when you drop your combs in, it's fully submerged in there. And the inspectors, they don't want to see this thing halfway. They don't want to see this dirty. So keep up with your Barbicide. So remember, your brushes, all your stuff that you use, throw it in there, leave it for 10 minutes. Then when it's done, pull it out, put it on a clean towel, let it dry, or dry with a blow dry or whatever, but dry it, then it is properly disinfected. But what do we do after that is going to be a very important factor as well. So after disinfecting everything, you either have to leave it, if you're about to use it, leave it on top of your station, on top of a clean towel, or store it. This is actually in the Barber book, and this is what inspectors look for. So store it in a closed container. So the cheapest way is like one of these pencil boxes that you could get at the dollar store. So make sure it's clean, disinfected. You could store it in here, or and your other stuff like your gloves, you can keep in Ziploc bags. So I have a lot of Ziploc bags. It's easy, for whatever you need. So just store stuff in Ziploc bags. But for your tools, like your combs, your brushes, all that, you're gonna wanna keep it, once again, in a sanitized, closed container. Now, if you guys wanna get a little fancy, this is what I got on Amazon. I've been using it, I like it. I got it for like $100, is a UV sterilizer. So once I disinfect all my stuff, I'll put it in here, I flip this little switch on, I'll turn on the UV light, which kills any additional germs if there's any on the surface. So once I disinfect all my blades, my combs, I put them in here on these little metal trays. So all my clean and disinfected razor blades are in there. Close it, turn the UV light on, and plus, you know, when your clients come in to your shop and they see something like this, they're like, oh, you know, they know you're taking your sanitation part just a little more serious. But if you don't want to go that fancy, you don't have to, but definitely keep it in a sanitized, inside of a sanitized and closed container. Now, if it's your clippers and all that, obviously they're going to be on top of the charging dock, so you don't have to worry about that. And then everything else is pretty, I would say, self-explanatory, basic, you know. You want to get disinfecting wipes, wipe the surfaces, wipe the chair, make sure everything's clean. Why are we doing this? We're doing all this because we want to prevent the spread of diseases from one client to the next, or from the clients to your hands. And we don't know STDs, all these, like the blood when you're using a razor. So we want to prevent all that. We want to keep the public safe, our clients safe, ourselves safe. So that's the main reason. And that's the main concern of inspectors. So when an inspector comes into the barbershop or your studio or your suite, obviously if you're doing this at home, you're not going to get inspected. But if you're doing this in a professional setting, then yes, you might get inspected, and this is what they're looking for: sanitation, how everything is stored. Are you keeping everything clean? If they come in and your little brushes here are full of hair, like, I don't know. Thankfully, I've never gotten fined. I've never gotten in trouble for anything, but I do keep my stuff very clean. So once again, keep all your stuff clean. If you guys have, this is another little note, if you guys use these, this is to clean off your clippers, your station, the surfaces, to remove the hair. But you have to be cleaning this after every client. So if you use these little brushes on a client, you have to rinse it with soap and water, leave it in your Barbicide jar for 10 minutes, dry it, then you can use it on every client. These are cheap, you know, buy them on Amazon. I think you could get like 30 of these for like 20 bucks. So have a bunch of these. Don't use the same one on all the clients. So don't use this. Don't use the neck duster unless if you're gonna clean these after every client. And a quick tip is, if you want something that also works very well, is just use your clean towel. Put a little bit of talc. So while you're doing the fade with your clipper, you know, you're fading, and then you just hitting it with the talc, and that removes it just as good, if not better than a little brush, if it has talc. If it doesn't have talc, you know, the brush is going to be better. So if you want to use the brush, disinfect it and use a clean one on every client. And if you're going to use the neck duster, I mean, that's going to be very time consuming, so I don't use this stuff on the clients. I'll just use a clean towel to wipe them off, the air hose, the blow dryer at the end, a little bit of talc, that's what I use. So remember, we're trying to prevent the spread of diseases, and this is a part of barbering. As barbers, this is our job, to keep the public safe. So remember, definitely don't skip out on your sanitation and your cleanliness, and you don't want to be transferring all this stuff from one client to the next. Another way of preventing that, a tip is check the clients before you're going to cut them. Inspect their hair. If you see a cut, a little bit of bleeding and abrasion, or if you see that they got fungus, don't take them. And if you do and you realize halfway through the haircut, you better disinfect everything properly after, like thoroughly. I mean, you might even have to take your blades off, get all that hair that's inside of there. You're gonna have to clean very thoroughly, because like I said, if you transfer that ringworm, that fungus to another client, there's a possible lawsuit or, you know, bad reviews, whatever. So don't fall in that situation. Prevent all that with just cleaning all your stuff. And if you have any questions or concerns, just message me, let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one.